So, Paul, I came down here to the Maverick today from Seattle, and I've been listening to some of these ideas that Steve has had for a while, and I'd just like to know if your impression of what we're doing here is the same as mine.
What's your impression?
Well,
That's
exactly.
maybe the starting
I
point.
can tell you what I understand of it, and I just like to see if if it's a similar idea
Okay,
with you.
cool.
What I have gathered from Steve is that essentially what we're doing here is we're going to be buying assets, things like boats, islands, cabins, and then we would have people who were members of this particular group, the tribe or whatever,
Okay.
would have access to these. And that I would have the ability as an individual member of this group to sell other memberships to these assets. And one thing that kind of appeals to me is that the money raised, a lot of it would go to benefit the oceans and would help animals and sea life and that sort of thing. And I'm really
Yeah, that's you.
I'm involved with that because
Right.
I'm a sea captain and
Right.
that sort of thing. And also it'd be a good way to support my lifestyle because I've been looking for a way to make a little extra money and basically play
Right, that's a good idea.
50 weeks out of the year and
I like that.
work two, something like that. But that was my general impression of the plan. And does that jive with what you
Pretty close.
understand?
My reasons for getting involved are very similar to yours because obviously, having been the builder of the Maverick, my wife and I over a period of 15 years, this was our baby. So when Steve approached us with his idea, it's not an easy concept to grasp. So it took me a while to really wrap myself around it to understand what it is, and it's very similar to what you said. But we had another motive, and that is, and I think Steve actually made it pretty clear to me that he was going to stay true to his word, and he said he's looking at assets like the Maverick, which for us is very personal because we built this thing. It was a 15-year birthing process to build this vessel, but it was our home and it was our dream and desire to be on the water, surrounded by nature, and really feel what it's like to have the ocean doing what the ocean does, the wind blowing, I can see where the moon's at, the rain's coming down, and I'm very close to nature when I'm on the boat. I'm not so close to nature when I'm on the hard or the dirt. Not that you can't be there, if your feet are in the dirt, that's different, but in a home you're not. But anyway, getting back to my point, Steve's vision was to take this boat and lovingly bring it in with the rest of the assets that he's acquiring and take care of it in a manner that I could tolerate. And by that I mean he's using it for a purpose that's even grander or larger, much larger, than what my rather selfish thing was to live on it in a beautiful boat. And who wouldn't want to, because the boat's beautiful. And he actually said to me, and he's going to do this in a way that I think will be really remarkable, he's going to reward the people who see the vision of the value in saving the oceans, like you alluded to, and people who've been on the water understand this. And even people who haven't been on the water can appreciate the fact that the oceans and the critters and everybody needs a hand up, or a paw up, if you will. Here, I got my paw. But they need assistance, and you need the tools to do that. And as a reward for people who have the vision and want to use that, not just to market and make money. We'll do that. That's the easy part. The hard part is to show people, not convince, but to show them through what we're doing, I think anyway, if I understand the concept, that it is fun to do. You are close to nature. You are with people, and it's a club. It's a very exclusive club. You're people that have the same vision that we have, that you and I and Steve and others that are joining the group now have, and make it into something that the total is greater than the sum of the individual parts exponentially. I mean, beyond what you and I can conceive of. And Steve's the master at putting that together. But now he's taking the Maverick and he's holding the Maverick up, along with the other assets, as one to say, see, this is worth saving. Not just the vessel, but what the vessel represents in its entirety. And that means the oceans, the sky, everything that is so fragile on this big blue orb that we're on, and I want something that's bigger than I am, because it gives me something to do and keeps me out of trouble with my wife. I know maybe your wife's the same way. But
Yeah. Well, I'm really happy that you had an opportunity to show this boat to me today, because this is just an absolutely gorgeous
Thanks.
boat, and the
We're
fact
pretty
that
proud of
you can
Maverick.
take and turn that around.
It's
and
hard,
and
I wouldn't turn it around to anybody if it weren't somebody with a big vision like Steve has. I wouldn't, I've had people, I could sell this boat and just walk away with a big pocket full of money, and then I'd wonder in the back of my mind, what's that guy doing? Does he have a bunch of drunks puking over the side? I don't want our baby to be treated like that. I want somebody that appreciates not the boat to recognize me, but to recognize the boat represents something bigger than me or my wife or us. It represents something that you need to hold up as a trophy piece for people who are, and this is the part that really appealed to me. Steve said, I'm going to take people who have shown that they care enough about the oceans and stuff, and let them get on a beautiful boat and use that boat at zero cost to them once they're in the tribe, and do it. And we're going to do some really cool things. And not just Maverick. I mean, he's got his eye on, I don't know how many boats he's showing you, but a lot.
I mean, I think that was probably the thing that actually initially drew me in.
Well, you want to drive those big boats.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and me too.
We've been talking about some pretty damn cool boats.
Yeah,
out there.
I mean,
Yeah,
what
so-
opportunity you got classic boats that he's getting boats. I didn't know these boats existed. I mean, Winston Churchill, drawing paintings on the stern of this boat. The Queen of England, when she was the Princess of England, these are historic monuments that the ocean really has lacked in large part. I mean, yeah, we have the Constitution and we have the government sanctioned valuable boats, but those of us that have been on the water for 30 years plus or more and can appreciate that will say, well, where's the ocean's representation? Where's the vehicles that have allowed us to get around the world? Where's the acknowledgement of the value of those assets? And that's what I think we're doing. We're not just grabbing, it sounds like anyway, Steve isn't just grabbing sailboats or this or that. He's like, we're going to have a fleet of vessels.
Well,
in
not
short
only
order.
that, but it's boats, and then places to take the boats.
Of course, yeah.
And places to land.
Yeah, these aren't
and,
just the thing that sits in the water and never moves.
And a network worldwide,
Right,
so that anywhere you are, and
Right.
I'm trying to think, how many people is this going to appeal to? Is
Don't
a
know,
person
sure.
from the Midwest going to be interested in
I'm a
the
Midwest
ability?
boy.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I was born in the Midwest, but
Right.
nonetheless, I'm here on the water because
Right.
this is where I like to be.
Sure.
Right. So, anyway,
Yeah, I think Steve's vision, it's a hard one to grasp unless you spend the time with Steve or understanding him, and I've done that. Just really appreciated the last several days that I've spent with him, and until I spent that time, he's kind of like, wait a minute, is this even plausible? Can we even do it? And he's actually doing it, so I mean, the proof's in the pudding.
well, there are
so.
big ideas here,
Yeah.
and I must say that probably one of the things that I need to hear more about is a little bit more of the nuts and bolts. I know that Steve has some tools that he can utilize, that he can teach us how to use in order to just basically help spread the concept.
Right.
And
Are you talking about IP tools and things of the electronic?
Yeah,
how do
that
we-
sort of thing.
Okay,
And actually,
sure.
I'm a computer guy. I come from a background in IT. I spent 30 years in the computer industry, so I understand a lot of these things. But I need to see them, demonstrated.
Right.
and-
Well, we've had the discussion, and of course, we're talking about a virtual reality. Now we have a physical reality, and we're putting the two together, which I don't think's ever been done. Steve said it haven't really been done. You always have these zero cost items, and we're going to give you a widget, and a widget is a disk, and that's all you get, and you're done. And what Steve's trying to do, and I think we're going to be pretty successful at it, because I'm convinced that we can work as a team. He and I, and you, and all the rest of the people that have been looking at this whole thing, and it's really large. We're going to bring in only the talent that will bring in the physical nuts and bolts capability, because it's such a big thing that you can't run it unless you have the A team, if you will, and you can bring in the talent, and that's what we're looking for. We're not just looking for, I can type, 95 words a minute, and I can tweet, 40 tweets an hour with my
Good
thumbs.
ideas.
we want the good ideas, and what's really cool, I think is exceptionally cool, is it's done on a worldwide basis. So now I don't carry just my prejudiced view of what this direction is. I have my spirit, my heart's in the right place, and that's key to anybody that comes in. That's going to be one of the litmus tests. Are you here just to make money? If so, there's the door. Because we can make a lot of money. That's not the hard part. The hard part is can you make the money and maintain the vision of doing something bigger and even more grand than making the money and have a good time doing it? So for me, I think the cool thing is we've got you know, the whole world, 160 plus countries or 80 countries we can easily appeal this to. And not everybody's going to speak English, but we all speak the language of conservation, and we can work that out. You know, which is really, that's really exciting. That's really cool to me.
It's attraction. I mean, I think that you know, there will be a lot of people that are very interested in getting into this strictly because it's not just making money. It's doing other things as well.
Yeah, it's got a good purpose, a cause, and what's the direction that we want to go. And I think Steve's made it really clear. The direction we want to go is to have fun, make money, help others, bootstrap other people with us with a minimal amount of effort required on their part, so that we can do something bigger than what you and I can probably even conceive of, you know. And that's something that we kind of have to watch the maestro, if you will, you know. I mean, that's the master, and a master of marketing is needed, because I don't know how to do this stuff. I know how to drive boats and how to fly airplanes and I do a lot of other things, but my forte isn't in the click and click. But I'm a pretty quick study, and I think anybody that, you know, wants to learn it, from what Steve's told me, don't, you know, just follow me, basically. He said, follow what I do what I do, and you'll be on your way. And that's what's really cool, because I said, I don't want to really work hard at this. I want to kind of follow it and use this to expand, if I can, on what Steve's going to lead me into, which is really kind of cool.
Right. I think that the idea is big enough that it really kind of sells itself.
Yeah.
And so you don't really have
I don't
to
want
work
to sell
that hard at it.
I mean, the best product
You know?
is the product that sells itself. And I guess we all sell things. I mean, I sell myself to people when I introduce myself to them. But, you know, I believe in myself, so it's not hard for me to do that. But, you know, I don't want to be selling Fuller Brush. I don't want to be pushing boxes of soap at people or saying, I've got skin so soft and you need some too, you know, because that is a sale. And like I said, if a person can't see what it is we're doing, maybe that's not the right person for what we're doing, you know. And I don't want somebody in that's hard side.
All you really need to do is just, you know, let people come out on a boat like this, or my boat or whatever.
Yeah, it has to be experienced, I think, is what you're trying to say, because I can look at pictures all day long and I can't feel it. I can't feel the boat rock. I can't feel the wind blow when I go up in the flying bridge. I can't sit up there with a cup of coffee with the fog coming over the horizon and saying, wow, I'm actually on this beautiful vessel and I got it for the weekend, you know, and which is really, I mean, what price? Priceless.
It's a powerful thing.
What's priceless, like the movies, or like the cartoons, not the cartoon, the commercials, that's whatever it is, you know. But, you know, that's the kind of experience that I know about and you know about, because we lived it and we live in it, and it's exciting, and I love it, and I never want to leave the water for that reason, because the water is where I'm comfortable. Now, we've already talked about the oceans, and of course this is a lot bigger than the oceans. We'll have land assets. It sounds like, you know, we're at the land acquisition stage to get, I don't just call it land, I'd say asset acquisition. That's going to
I think of it as ports.
Well, that's
ports
true.
to keep the boats, you know.
Well, they're ports to keep the boats, but I'm talking about terra firma with the critters. And what I really like, my wife and I don't have children, but we do have children because for us the children are the animals, but we appreciate the value of children. And Steve said something to me I think was really very, very valuable. He said, who are the, and we're talking about taxes, and it's not one of my favorite subjects, but he said, what's the most heavily taxed group in the world? And I thought, well, let's see, it's not 3M, it's not, you know, those people are tax free. He said the critters. All the critters of the ocean and the oceans themselves are heavily taxed, because there's no upside to what humans do to the critters. And I don't care whether it's a lowest amoeba or the bivalves or whatever, you work your way all the way up to the spy hopping whales and beyond, the critters, and that extends beyond the oceans, but the oceans is where it all began. So I think that's a good starting point for what we do. But Steve's talking about not just the critters in the water, the critters on the land, and the creepy crawlies, and the other group that's as an aggregate has pretty much been neglected, and that's the women and the children of the women, and what women represent. And I agree with him. I said, the boys have made a mess of it for too many years. We need the ladies in there to slap us around a little bit and keep us on the straight and narrow, and show the value in doing something more than just raping, plundering, and pillaging, because we've perfected that, you know. And I said, you're right, because my wife tames me down and says, her heart's in the right place, and that's what we're looking for, heart value. You know, because if your heart's not in the right place, we don't want you in the group, and that's not to say you're not welcome to be on the earth, but you have to have, at least start with that. And the rest of it comes easy, with the group, I think, anyway.
Yeah, I think everything you said is pretty much what I understood as,
cool.
As the plan.
Well,
so I think we're seeing eye to eye, and I think Steve has been able to share a similar vision with both of us. So,
I'm gonna kick the chocks out, and Steve's gonna make the smoke fly, and it'll be interesting to watch. Well, we use the rocket analogy. Said when we really pull the plug on this, if you're not aboard, you better run real fast, or the train's going to be out of the station, and the rocket will be out of sight. And and that'll be a wonderful thing to see, because obviously it's way beyond when something like this needs to be done, and that's why it appeals so much, just because it can happen so quickly and so powerfully.
Yeah.
And you have.
Yeah, I really appreciate being able to come over here and meet with you today.
Yeah.
And
Skipper, we'll see you aboard the fleet, and you take. Well, let's flip for the boats, because I'm going to drive at least one of them, and we'll have to flip. All right, cool.
All right, fantastic.
All right, cool.